What's up, everybody, and welcome back to the show. Tonight, we welcome an international marketing guru all the way from Australia, so let's get it, y'all. What's up, trade crew? Welcome back to the HVAC R&D podcast, the home of the trade crew, the voice of distribution, contractors, and manufacturers. We're rolling into Q2 with some serious momentum, and the show is growing bigger than ever. The HVAC R&D Substack newsletter is officially live. The Ramblin' Rhino column is back in full force with multiple fresh articles dropping every single week, and the newly relaunched resource hub at hvacrnd.com is now going to be your go-to spot for tools, products, partners, and insights built to help you grow in the trades. So if you believe in real conversations from the truck to the boardroom, make sure you like, follow, and subscribe to the show. Don't forget to subscribe to the newsletter so you never miss the conversations, columns, and resources built for the people keeping this industry moving. Big shout out to our Q2 partners making it all happen: Diversitech, LiveSwitch, RLS Rapid Locking System, True Nature Meats Company, Residio, and Mon Hummel. Now lock in, turn it up, and let's get into another great conversation right here on HVAC R&D. So what's up, trade crew? And welcome back to the HVAC R&D podcast, and today we are joined by John Dwyer. He's a direct response marketing expert and founder of the Institute of Wow. For more than 30 years, John has helped brands like McDonald's, KFC, 7-Eleven, and major financial institutions create campaigns that don't just look good, but they generate real customer response and measurable sales. He's even one of the few marketers to ever secure Jerry Seinfeld as a spokesperson. And today we're translating that same psychology into the trades. So John, welcome to the show. Thank you for your time, and thank you for getting up on a very, very bright and early morning on the Gold Coast of Australia.
Yes, yeah, down under we're having coffee where you're just about to have beer.
Yeah, it's definitely time for both. We could have an espresso martini on the show. I guess that would work for both of us, right?
Yeah, that's my favorite coffee, yeah.
So John, for the trade crew and people that don't know who you are, can you give me a bit of your backstory and your journey into direct response marketing and how you got into marketing in the first place?
Yeah, sure. Look, many thousands of years ago, back on the little house on the prairie days, I was probably in my early 20s, and I look, at school, my school days, I was not bad at artwork. I could sketch things pretty quickly. And so I thought when I left school, look, I'll do the advertising degree, which I did at college, and I'll somehow, take my skill of drawing and make money out of it. Well, I was an idiot because computers were coming along. Little did I know, many thousands of years later, AI would come along, but computers were the big thing at the time. And so I thought to myself, this is stupid. I'm not going to make money out of drawing things or artwork because this computer can do it much quicker than I can. So that's why I got into advertising and marketing. And I've been there ever since. And at the end of the day, most advertising and most marketing survives not just on the metrics, these days, of course, being Facebook, but on the creativity. So therefore, our business, which is called the Institute of Wow.com, is all about creating wow factors for businesses so that they make more money.
What early campaign taught you the true power of customer psychology? I know you've worked with some big names, but what really kind of had it click for you the first time?
I was a complete idiot because I thought that if you build the brand, they would come. And so therefore in my 20s, when I probably still had pimples, I had a couple of clients. I don't know why they would have employed me because I was all of 22 or 23. So they were more silly than I was. And I would say to them, oh, look, let's build a brand. And one of them was a ski business. Here in Australia, we don't have snow too often, but there are some parts that get snow. And they were called Inski, I-N-S-K-I. And this idiot who you're talking to said to them, we'll build a brand around, the place to go before the snow. I thought I was really clever. My girlfriend at the time, now my wife, said, oh, that rhymes. That's good. Anyway,
it sounds good, right?
It sounds good. The place to go before the snow. And we ran advertisements and, of course, got the sound of crickets. And I pretty quick smart realized, hang on, no, if you are not Coca-Cola or McDonald's or Nike, then you can't afford to sponsor the Olympics or put your face on the side of a bus. You've got to do what we call direct response marketing. And the moment I started to wake up to myself and realize that it was all about an offer, and that offer, generally speaking, is what we call the problem solution scenario. you are giving a solution to someone's problem. If you put that together with a strong CTA, which we call, call to action, then shut the gate. It's all over. If you've got a problem that you can solve and then you can provide them with that solution and a strong call to action, it's all over.
That's the truth. And I think there's a lot of, especially nowadays, even more so than then, everything is built around call to action. Everything that you see created now is constantly, it's just call to action, call to action, call to action, whether it's to get you to fill out this form for them to tell you you're getting something for free. And then it's actually 99 cents a day or 9.99 a month or whatever it turns out to be. But everything you see has some kind of call to action to it these days.
Yep. Yeah, and can I say this? A call to action without a deadline is not really a call to action. So, if you are quoting on an air conditioning system or anything for that matter, and you don't say, look, there's two prices here. This price is if you actually get in by Friday. This price is for the next month. Then you're going to not have as many conversions as you would have. So every single quotation in my world has to have 2 dates.
Well, and that's interesting too, especially when we're looking at things like consistently changes in price increases, availability of materials and products, especially as we start going into our busy season here. Getting close to May is really when the Southeast United States kind of goes crazy with heating and air conditioning. So being able to offer 2 different numbers, I would think would make a lot of sense for contractors as we're trying to get it in before it gets even busier and it's going to take longer to do the job.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that in our business, we do the same thing when people are thinking about buying one of our promotional packages, because that's what we do these days. We package everything up for all sorts of businesses, contractors included, and we say to them, okay, well, if you get in by Friday, we'll give it to you for this price. And we don't make any apologies for it. We're a direct response marketing company, so we just say, look, if we don't do it, then no one will do it. Okay, so if you get in by Friday, and that means you're going to help our cash flow, we will help you. We will give it to you for this deal. And if you want to wait until after Friday, then it will be that plus whatever it normally is, 10 or 20% more.
Who was the first campaign or the first business that you had your most success with?
Probably, I won't say this was necessarily the first, but it was back there. It was a turf farm selling grass, and so front yard and backyard grass. So it was a turf farm. And he saw my stuff and he said to me, look, how can you help me? He said, I've got, a mile worth of turf and it's coming up to a season where I want to, sell that so I can replant. And I said, okay, well, who's your target audience? And he said, landscapers. He said, mum and dad are not going to buy too much turf other than the grass for the front yard. I said, okay, well, what do you think landscapers, like as a Happy Meal toy? So if we were going to encourage them to buy turf from you, because every turf farm's got the same thing. I mean, it's a bit like when you borrow $100,000 from the bank. That $100,000 from the Bank of America looks exactly the same as the $100,000 from Wells Fargo. So if you're in what we call a Me Too industry, and your audience is absolutely in that, because every air conditioner looks like the other air conditioner, then you better come up with an artificial wow factor. You don't need an artificial wow factor for the iPhone because there's only one iPhone, okay? But if you've got the same product as everyone else, then you better come up with a Happy Meal toy. So I said to him, what do you think these landscapers that buy turf from you would like? He said, I don't know, you tell me. I said, I reckon they like beer. Why don't we do this? Why don't we say for every front yard and backyard home, which in Australian language is meters, so for every 500 square meters, we'll give you a carton of premium beer, not just the ordinary beer, but we'll give you a case of premium beer. And he said, okay. And so therefore we sent out both, by snail mail, a brochure, but also by email and text as well. And we said, the offer is that this month, if you actually get your turf from us instead of another turf farm, then you'll get a case of beer. He rang me 4 days after we launched and said, we've got a problem. My name is John Dwyer, but I get JD. I said, oh, God, you got a problem. Everyone's got a problem. What's your problem? He said, we've run out of grass. We have no more turf. I said, what? He said, I even had the guy who was the biggest pain in the ass, landscaper, used to ring me and say, look, you're charging $5 a square metre. I can get it down the road at another turf farm for $4.50. And he said, I'd have to drop my pants. He said, that same guy rang up and said, I want 18 homes worth of turf. I don't care when the turf gets here. I've got a party on Friday. I need the beer by Friday.
I was waiting for the problem to be, I need to find a beer distributor that can support this habit.
So that's the power of the Happy Meal toy. And I can tell you the crazy thing, we have a lot of contractors on over the years, and we've got quite a few on even now down under. The crazy part is that not one contractor in the history of mankind has ever offered a Happy Meal toy. They will bend over and price discount every single time. And there's nothing evil about that. But the thing is, the guy down the road can go another 10% lower than you within 5 minutes. And so why would you want to be involved in something that's not sustainable? What we do now is that we give contractors vacations to give away. We've got a deal with a travel company, and we get 3 nights in Vegas or Orlando or New York or Chicago or San Diego. And we get the hotel rooms, and we provide that to contractors in America and around the world, whereby they say, look, accept my quote by 5 o'clock this afternoon, and I'll give you a free family vacation for 2 adults and 2 children. And we give them the $1,000 vacation for $50.
Stuff like that's fantastic. I've never seen a contractor do stuff like that here. No. What I see all the time is, we're going to give you a media filter. We're going to give you a UV light or IAQ product or something that they'll throw into it. I've seen a few where they'll say that the furnace they're getting with their air conditioner is free or part of the job, but I've never seen anybody think about offering something like that. That's fantastic.
Well, you see, the reason McDonald's Happy Meal works is because not only, the licenses with Disney and so forth, but they make that toy. I know the people who came up with the Happy Meal toy. That's really showing my age, isn't it? But they did all right at Happy Meal toy. They live at the top of Trump Tower these days. But they're Australian, but they moved to America. So therefore they make that Happy Meal toy. McDonald's gets it made in China for 22 cents, but in Kmart it looks like it's a $5 toy. And the reason that works is because as a parent or grandparent, when you look at that toy inside the Happy Meal box, then it looks like a $5 toy. You don't realize it's only 20 cents for them to make it. So the catch, the most important thing with a Happy Meal toy philosophy is that low cost, high perceived value. And in this instance, we have this travel. The reason this came about is because the hotels that are part of this program, which are all 4-star TripAdvisor, they realize that for, probably 3/4 of the year outside of school vacation periods, they're running at 30 or 40% vacancy. So they figure, well, we might as well give up the rooms for free and make money out of food and beverage. So what happens is that they give up the room for free. We resell that room or that vacation package to businesses to use as a Happy Meal toy. And everybody wins because the hotel gets guests staying there. They don't get the tariff from the guests, but those guests, generally speaking, if they've got a $400 hotel room at no cost, they're probably going to spend more on room service and.
Absolutely.
So that's it. And so what we do is that we actually say to contractors, look, instead of dropping your price, then why don't you give them a value add? Why don't you say, look, get in. We've got a solar dealer here in Australia, and he said to me, look, when I walked in to provide the solar quote to Mrs. Smith, she would have 2 or 3 other quotes on the kitchen bench, and they were all within a few $100s of each other. He said, I was running at about 44% conversion when I'd go in because I'm up against 3 or 4 of these other quotes on the kitchen table. And he said, now what happens is that we go in and we say, listen, I know you've got other quotes, but if you make a decision and go with us by 5 o'clock this afternoon, I'm going to treat your family to a 3-night vacation absolutely free of charge. And he said his conversion rate went from 44% to 91%.
Ooh, that's moving the needle just a little bit. So I want to keep going down that road. We're gonna talk about Seinfeld, everybody, but you're gonna have to wait. I'm gonna make you wait for this because we're getting some good stuff out of this already.
And by the way, he was the ultimate happy. He was involved in the ultimate Happy Meal toy. I'll tease everybody by saying that, but I had him involved in a campaign for 3 years with me, and wait till you hear about it because it was the ultimate Happy Meal toy giveaway.
This episode of the HVAC R&D podcast is brought to you by Diversitech, the one-stop source for contractors who want to simplify every job. Whether you're stocking up on install supplies, service parts, thermostats, controls, or digging into the legendary tool line from Hillmore, Diversitech has you covered. They're not just a parts supplier. They help build solutions for HVAC pros, offering pads, condensate management gear, electrical parts, replacement components, premium tools that make installs, service calls, and maintenance faster, cleaner, and more professional. Partnering with Diversitech means fewer trips back to the supply house, more time on the job, and less chance of callbacks because you're using the right gear from the start. If you want to work smarter, stay stocked up, and show up for every job ready, Diversitech is a trade pro's best friend. Now, trade crew, depending on when you're hearing this, you may have already seen, or soon you will see, the president of Mon Hummel have me literally jump on one of their filters during the AHR Expo. And let me tell you, rhinos don't just jump on anything. The thin line Ultramax frameless HVAC mini pleat filter is built for commercial and industrial applications where medium to high efficiency filtration truly matters. It delivers MERV 13 performance with low pressure drop to help maximize energy savings, plus high dust holding capacity for extended service life. And there's no traditional plastic, metal, or cardboard frame, reducing environmental impact while still delivering serious durability. If it can handle a rhino, it can handle your job site. Learn more through the Mon Hummel link in the HVAC R&D Vendor Hub today. All right, so everybody just stick with us. You're going to get some more nuggets out of this, and then we'll get to the Seinfeld story. So, JD, what do you think is the biggest marketing mistake that I'll say HVAC, but really we'll talk trades and home service companies in general. But what do you think is the biggest marketing mistake that a lot of them are making right now? Do you believe it's truly not offering the Happy Meal, or is it even more than that?
Yeah, look, it's more than that. Look, we live in the Facebook world, so therefore, I'm old enough to have come from, TV, radio, newspapers, magazines, and, these days it is unbelievably exciting for people, no matter what industry they're in. Because in the old days, you might put an ad in the paper and wait for the paper to come out, and it might be one of the freebies thrown over the front fence, and you're hoping it doesn't rain, and all of that stuff. Whereas now, of course, you can switch your campaign on straight away. And the crazy part is I see Facebook ad after Facebook ad by contractors, and, I'm a sarcastic bugger. I just shake my head and think, what were they smoking when they put that ad together, for God's sake? I mean, your advertisement has to have direct response components, and there's 5 components in the direct response, if you like, recipe. Number 1, identify their problem, and that is, summer's around the corner. Is your air conditioning broken? Number 2, aggravate that problem. The family's going to sweat through summer if you don't hurry up and do something about it. Number 3, provide the solution, and that is your product or service. Number 4, provide proof, which is generally speaking testimonials, people saying what life was like before you and what life was like now that they've got your product or service. And then number 5, which they all fall over with, that nobody gets it right, is a strong CTA, call to action. And it's that last one where the Happy Meal toy comes in. Because if you do all the other ones, I fix your problem, I'm the solution, here's people saying wonderful things about me, but you've got a weak CTA, call to action, then you've just wasted your money. And what we're in the business of is providing contractors and other people with not just a lead generation, but also a closing tool. And we've got one, for example, I'll give you a water filtration system company came on board 2 weeks ago. He was giving Zuckerberg $120 a lead, which is ridiculous. I mean, that's crazy, $120 a lead. So I'd like to see who his digital marketing guy was. He was silly. We got that $122 a lead down to 92 cents. 92 cents. So we've gone from $120 to 92 cents. And I'll tell you how we did it. Really, really simple. We have a thing called the contest leads machine. I've come from a contest background, so I've done all the monopolies for McDonald's and all the KFCs and fast foods and all the big scratch bingos for Rupert Murdoch's newspapers. So I've come from that background of doing a lot of sweepstakes. So the idea I'm about to give you will double or triple every contractor's business within a week if they do what I'm about to tell them. Do you reckon I've teased them enough? Okay. I can't guarantee too much in life, but I can almost guarantee this. If you do what I'm about to tell you, you will double your business within a week. Okay. And what it is, it's called the contest leads machine. And what happens is that you run a contest on Facebook and you give away your product or your service as the prize. So therefore, if you're in the air conditioning game, you would say, okay, how would you like to win an air conditioner to the value of X dollars? Okay. If you're in the lawn mowing game, you would say, how would you like to win 2 months worth of lawn mowing? If you happen to be in the dentistry business, you'd say, how would you like to win Invisalign braces for your child who's got crooked teeth, right? They click the ad and they come through to a landing page. Keep in mind, we're a direct response marketing company. So not only is that an entry page, but also we sell shit on there as well. And they fill that in. And once they fill that in, shut the gate. Okay. You've just got someone who's not just a contact or not just a lead. They're a warm lead. They put their hand up and said, I need air conditioning. And so this particular guy, Jack McFarlane, his name was, and he said to me, JD, I do home water filtration systems, so they're about $4 or $5 grand a piece. So that's what we did. We ran a contest. It runs over 6 months, so he only has to give one of these away every 6 months. It's not like he has to give it away all the time. And what happens is that they click the ad, they go through to his landing page. He got 917 leads in the first week. 917 leads, right? This is pissy little Australia. We're 7% of your population. Can you imagine what would happen in America?
That's insane.
So what happens is that 917, and this happens over and over and over, and yet every one of our clients screams after a week and says, turn it off. We can't get any more leads. We can't handle the leads. I mean, what a lovely problem to have. So this thing is so dynamite that we were shooting ourselves in the foot. We only launched this about 6 months ago. And it came about because many years ago, I was talking on stage at a conference, and we have a hot seat idea where I bring somebody up and we bring their website up on the big screen, and I criticize it. I always ask them, who did your website? Stevie Wonder. And so I will redo their website on a butcher paper next to them and show them, the magic. And this particular guy had an aluminum fence business. And he said to me, look, Facebook's not working. And I said, well, let's have a look at your ad. Guess what his ad showed? It showed a picture of an aluminum fence. It'd be like showing a picture of an air conditioner, right? And I said, I don't think that's going to give too many prospects hard nipples. I don't think that aluminum fence is really a turn on. And he said, well, smart Alec, what would you do? I said, why don't you get out of the way and we'll do it for you. So we ran the ugliest back fence in Australia contest to homes that were 30 years old. So we went to zip codes.
Love it.
Yeah. So we said to them, take a photo of your falling down paling fence, post it to our Facebook page, and you're in the chance to win an aluminum fence makeover. He got 6 months worth of leads in 3 days. We shut the campaign down on the 4th day. And then we ran the ugliest kitchen in Australia contest, the ugliest, you name it. I mean, the contest.
Oh, yeah. You just go after all of them at that point. That's amazing.
So I'm an idiot because this was 3 or 4 years ago and I moved on. I forgot all about it, to be honest with you. And so therefore, just around about September, October last year, I thought, shit, why don't we resurrect that thing? That thing was really good. This is how good my attention span is. And so the people that work for me, I'm only a small company, but the handful that work for me said, yeah, let's do that. So we launched it at Christmas time. November. And we've had a 100% success rate with it. I've never had a 100% success rate with anything in my life, despite the fact I'm a show-off. This thing, you cannot stop it. You cannot. So you run. I mean, let's face it. We've got a lawn mowing company. We've got a tree trimmer in Hawaii. Because we do this everywhere. You don't have to be in America to organise this. We just organise it for anyone. This tree trimmer in Hawaii, he only wanted to hit 3 postcodes in Honolulu, or zip codes, you call them. So we just did 3 zip codes. Now, you don't get much more niche than tree trimming. I mean, you don't wake up this morning and go, I think I might get my trees trimmed, Right. So it's a really niche category. He got 251 leads in the first week. To win tree trimming. You don't enter a contest to win tree trimming unless if you live in an apartment.
Why do you think so many contractors fall into that trap of, spending $120 a lead? Do you think it's because they just we didn't get into the trades because we knew about marketing, for one. But Why do you think so many fall into that trap?
Because they are being ripped off by 25-year-old social media experts who have a green screen behind them showing an office environment, but they're really working from their bedroom. Okay, so they're listening to kids that have not done this before. And I know it's easy for a baby boomer my age to bag out the millennials, and I've got 6 of them as children, by the way, so hopefully they're not listening. But what happens is that a lot of this marketing comes from evergreen platforms that may have been sort of communicated through TV, radio, and newspaper back in the day. These days are so much easier. It's communicated within a nanosecond through social media. But these young kids, and look, there's exceptions, don't get me wrong, but these young kids knock on the door of someone who might be in their 40s or 50s who are not social media savvy, and they rip them off. They basically say, look, we can bring in all these leads. And look, anyone can bring in leads. It's a matter of having warm leads. You don't want to waste your time with tire kickers. So and the good thing about what we do, he says as he pats himself on the back, is that we actually pre-qualify the leads. So you don't get shit leads. You get leads that are at least warm, if not red hot.
Well, and my father is still a contractor. He's 85. And, I hate to say it, he just fell into a little bit of that trap a couple of weeks ago, paying several $100s for 4 newspaper ads. I said, Dad, no one's reading the newspaper in Bryson City, North Carolina anymore. We're a tiny little town in the mountains with about, I'd say 20,000 people in the whole county now, maybe, because 80% of the county's national park. I said, Dad, that's not going to bring you anything. I said, you just wasted your money. I said, we quit using the yellow pages when I was helping you run the business 20 years ago. I said, it's not going to be effective. I said, you just threw your money down the toilet. And I know you don't want to hear me say that, but we can do some things differently. And listening to the things like you're talking about are perfect for his business, because he's an older business that needs kind of a shot in the arm.
Yeah, the thing is that when I'm interviewed on podcasts or I'm doing my seminars or any of those sorts of things, I say, look, nothing has changed except the communication medium.
Correct.
It's all about the creativity. And, I know we will touch on Seinfeld in a minute, but the thing is that, that was successful because of the creativity. He and Larry David were very, very clever from a creative standpoint. And if you said to me, well, how many Spielbergs or Disneys or George Lucas's are out there? Very, very few, not many at all, because not many people are creative. And, I'm sure every contractor who's listening to this will take this the right way. But, as you said a moment ago, they went to college, they came out as an incredible expert at what they do, but no one ever taught them how to get a customer at college. No one. We have clients come on all the time and they are much smarter than I am, absolutely smarter. But when they did their dentistry degree at college, no one told them then how they could get patients. And so this thing that we call marketing is really only probably, I'd say 5 or 10% of the entire business population have a good handle on it. And I keep on saying to people, I know this is self-serving, but if your business needs a heart transplant, they all say, yes, we need more leads. Okay. Well, if you needed a heart transplant, would you go to a 25-year-old who just came out of medical school and he would say, look, I've never done this before, but I'm going to give it a hell of a shot? Or would you go to the doctor that's been doing it for 30 or 40 years and can do it in his sleep? And of course, they choose the latter. I said, well, why the hell would you go to a 25-year-old and give him all your advertising budget?
Yeah, because they've not went through the things you've went through in time to really see how it's changed over the years. Yeah. And that gives you have a completely different perspective on what, storytelling plays versus just, oh, we can do this for this price. I'll be cheaper than that guy, so give me your money. Just because they're the cheaper one doesn't always mean you're going to win.
No, well, see, the thing is that if you scroll through your phone today, you'll see sponsored ad after sponsored ad after sponsored ad, and the vast majority of them, and again, because we deal with every industry, I could give you lots of examples, but I'll try and stick to contractors because that's who's listening. You will see a picture of an air conditioner, a picture of a concrete path, a picture of an electrician fixing wires. I mean, you'll see all of these absolute mandatory graphics that will never, ever stop the scroll. However, if you were scrolling through and all of a sudden you see a contest to win an air conditioner and you're sitting in a 100-degree lounge room at the moment, there's a pretty good chance you're going to click on that. And then, of course, once you've done that, we've got your details. And I'll tell you how, I'm patting myself on the back, but how clever it is. What happens is that when the contractor, let's use the water filtration guy, okay? He sells a $4,500 home water filtration system. And what he does is that he says, we plan this so therefore he runs it for a month. And if it's smashes him out of the park, he can put it on pause for a month and come back again on the third month. That's the beautiful part about it. You can turn it on and turn it off. And what happens is that he, every Friday throughout the 6 months promotion, let's say, keep in mind, you don't have to advertise it for 6 months, but you can amortize the cost of your air conditioner giveaway over 6 months. Every Friday, you have a preliminary draw. A bit like American Idol when you're on there for one of the talent shows, you go to the grand final. And if you don't get drawn on Friday, which of course only one person does, you can't enter again. You can only enter this contest once. And that's the clever part about it, because then on the following Monday of week 2, you can contact all of the people who entered in week one. Let's say there was 200 of them. One got pulled out to be in the grand draw, but the other 199 are fodder for you to contact and say, look, Mr. Smith, you didn't win in our preliminary draw. You know you could only enter once. But guess what? We've got a special deal on our air conditioning this week, blah, blah, blah. And if you get in by Friday, we'll give you a free family vacation. It's all over. It's all over.
Oh, where were you 20 years ago? I wouldn't be in distribution. I'd still be running my dad's business. Trade Crew, I'd like to introduce you to my friends over at LiveSwitch. If you haven't heard of them, they're developing a platform specifically for trades contractors and service professionals like yourselves. So picture this. Mrs. Jones calls the office. Her furnace is making some kind of strange sound. Normally, you would just have to roll the truck and go see what's going on. But instead, with LiveSwitch, you can jump on a video call right then and there with no app with Mrs. Jones. You can see things from her perspective on a fully functional video call. You can take screenshots, you can record, and you can deliver a different experience that no other contractor is giving their homeowners right now. If you're worried about it working with stuff you're already using, you know what? It integrates perfectly into Jobber, ServiceTitan, HouseCall Pro, any of the stuff that you guys are already using. It makes it a seamless transition to add this new tool to your arsenal. Go to hvacrnd.com, visit the vendor hub, set up your LiveSwitch demo today. You can also click the link down in the description below, or you can find the link to the demo in my bio. Thanks everybody for listening to the show. Check out LiveSwitch. I promise you it is an app for you. It gives you an ability to do something completely different for homeowners that no one else is doing right now. You guys won't be disappointed. Go schedule your demo today. Trade Crew, let me ask you something. How many leads are you paying for right now that never actually turn into book jobs? That's where Chirp comes in. Chirp is built specifically for home service companies to help automate your follow-up through text, email, voicemail drops, and now AI-powered conversations, so your leads aren't sitting there going cold while you're out running calls. Because the reality is, speed to lead matters. If somebody fills out an online form and doesn't hear back quickly, they're already calling the next contractor. Chirp helps bridge the gap by instantly starting the conversation and keeping follow-up moving automatically. And what I really like is that it still feels human and not robotic. It integrates with platforms like HouseCall Pro, ServiceTitan, Field Pulse, Jobber, and more, helping you stay in front of customers without creating more office chaos. If you want to convert more leads that you're already paying for, head over to Chirp, automate the follow-up, and close more deals. Make sure to go to the hvacrnd.com resource hub and book your demo today and find out more about what is truly the most badass AI lead conversion system in the trades.
I actually, my nickname within my business is Evil, Dr. Evil.
You even got the accent right. So let's talk metrics a little bit, because you talked about, getting the price of a lead down significantly. What are some vanity metrics that contractors should stop obsessing over?
Mainly likes. Okay. Because, if you go home tonight.
That's all of us. Yeah.
If you go home tonight and the kids are around the table and you say to the kids, guess what? Daddy got 242 likes today. The kids are staring at you and going, Daddy, but there's no food on the table, right? So, I have to say to you that if you are Coca-Cola and McDonald's and Nike and Kellogg's, then, of course, vanity metrics is nice because, really at the end of the day, you can piss it up against the wall and sponsor the Olympics and, who cares? You're big enough to, have a campaign that's got no measurability. But in the world that you're in, the contractor world, then you want to make sure that every dollar you spend is measurable. And so therefore, do not go down that path of vanity metrics. There's nothing wrong with people liking it. That's fine. But don't bet the house on it. What you've got to do is that you've got to pay for advertising. That's the truth. You've just got to pay for advertising. And if you've got to pay for advertising, you want to hang around people that are going to get the CPL, cost per lead, down south. In most cases, I would say that contractors and other businesses, because they're using, 20-something to look after everything for them, A, don't get the creativity because they just get a picture of their product or service and maybe a smiling person standing next to it. B, they don't highlight the problem and then the solution. And C, they don't have a Happy Meal toy to get people across the line by Friday. And remember what I said in the beginning, CTA, call to action. You've got to have a strong call to action. And the easiest one to distinguish you from everyone else is to give them a Happy Meal toy that your competitors don't have.
You talk about it not stopping the scroll. The ones that you see for HVAC, like you said, it's a picture of the unit, someone standing next to it or working on it, and it says, tune up for $79 this month special or something like that. It doesn't give you anything, and it doesn't give you what you like to call the wow factor.
Yeah. I mean, don't you love the ones? I love the ones where they're standing outside their garage and there's 20 vehicles. They've got 20 vehicles there and all the staff are standing next to the vehicles. And it's almost like that aluminum fence thing where I said, look, that's not going to get... See, what that's doing is selling features, not benefits. No one gives a shit about your features, okay? So with the guy with the aluminum fence, I mean, we know what an aluminum fence looks like, for goodness sake. What he should have done is what we call shit to gold. He should have, I mean, my ugliest back fence thing saved him, okay? But even if he didn't come up with a creative idea like that, at the very least, he should have done the Jenny Craig weight loss program where there's a lady who's overweight on one side and on the right-hand side, after 4 weeks, she looks like, a supermodel. So in every instance of Contractors, what you need to do is, even if you don't use a Happy Meal toy like the free vacation, have a before and after picture, okay? This is what life was like before you came along. Everyone's in the lounge room sweating and the dog's half dead and, everyone is drinking water that's hotter. And then on the right-hand side, that happy family, of course, looks like the Osmonds.
I think, that could be something. I had a question I was going to ask you, what's a wow factor offer, something like that every HVAC company should consider testing this summer. Something that they could even do potentially on their own, just like, look, JD said to do this, maybe we should try it. They try it and they'd be successful. Well, maybe he knows his shit. We should call JD back.
Yeah, well, I keep on saying, look, I can do my own grease and oil change, but why would I do that? I just go to the mechanic. He says, at the end of the day, if I've got a sore tooth, I go to a dentist. And so, I can give the contractors all of these things and they can, walk away and do it themselves, not a problem. But yeah, the level of success when you start from scratch and you haven't been doing this for a few years, then yeah, the level of success is normally one digit.
I'll kind of ask this. It really now that I've spoken to you and I've kind of gotten into some other ways and learning how you talk about things, we all know homeowners delay decisions. And one way to do that one way to stop that delay, one is to create an irresistible offer without discounting yourself, which we talked about some. And the other one that you talk about is also bonus stacking, which to me, that's what you're talking about when, well, we didn't win the drawing, but they're going to call me on Monday with a different offer. How do these offers and why do they make people overcome that hesitation?
Yeah, it's. I keep on saying it's called direct response marketing, but the real name for it is emotional direct response marketing. Okay, and we all know that when you're in the supermarket, you buy that Cadbury chocolate because it's an emotional purchase. You go, look, I wasn't going to buy the chocolate, but I'll do it. That's why they spend so much time on their point of sale and on their wrapping. I've worked with a lot of fast-moving consumer goods, and Kellogg's are not silly. They know that box is, and the artwork on the box, and particularly the ice cream companies, that's going to persuade you because it's all about emotion. So therefore, I would say that, if I was in the contracting business, I would be making sure that I stop showing pictures that are features and I would show benefits. And like that before and after scenario I just gave you a moment ago with an air conditioning company where the family's sweating on one side and they're, cool on the other side. We don't need to see the air conditioner. We all know what an air conditioner looks like. And it does not look like Pamela Anderson. So therefore, I don't think you should feature it. But what you want to do is that you want to go from features to benefits. Everything should be about a benefit. And once you've got them across the line in that regard, and you should probably be on your own because there's not many contractors that do it, then that's when you come for the home run. That's when you say, okay, if you get in now. And it used to be, I'll give you a free movie pass. Well, not one, two, because I think it would be quite insulting to give someone one.
At least take a friend.
Exactly, yeah. Congratulations, here's a shoe. But yeah, so you give them 2 movie tickets, or you give them a $50 dining voucher. But the thing is, when you give that to them, they know that that's valued at $50. You just give them something. If it's a $50 dining voucher, they know that it's cost you $50. If it's a movie ticket for 2, they know that you've just valued them at $50. You give them a vacation voucher, which incidentally looks like that. I know that if you're listening, you're not seeing it, but I'm holding something up at the moment. You give them a vacation voucher where they can go to Disney World, New York, Chicago, San Diego, Grand Canyon. It goes on, Cancun, for 3 to 7 nights, and it's worth $1,000, but it's only cost you 50. That's it. That's the call to action from heaven.
Ooh, man, I've got some ideas to talk to you about when the show is over. But we know everybody wants to hear the Seinfeld story. So tell me how you got involved with Jerry Seinfeld and how on earth were you able to make him commit to being a spokesperson, because that's not something that happens every day, as many of us know. We very rarely see him in a spokesperson's role anywhere ever. So how did all that happen?
Well, thank you very much for allowing me to really show off now, as if I haven't already. But anyway.
Oh, we got some more. There's some other cool things for you guys to hear about that JD has done. So we're going to dig some more of those out, because I think it's important that those come out. So we'll start with Jerry.
It's funny when I'm on stage doing a seminar or what have you, there's the odd, because I'm sarcastic, of course, a bit like, the Conan O'Brien thing, it's silly sarcasm. It's not, and I'll cop it sometimes from someone in the room, only in joking format. They go, "Oh, JD, you're such a show off." And I go, "Oh, so you want your marketing advisor to be like an accountant, very subdued and very well mannered?" Well, yeah. I don't think that's what you're after. You're after someone who might be a little edgy. Look, the Seinfeld thing, what happened is that I had a bank down under. It was a building society called the Greater Building Society, and they were a client for quite some time. And when I got involved in them, with them for the first 6 months, I did the usual time and motion study, and I went in and discovered that the advertising agency was ripping them off. And, like the advertising agent, the logo for this particular building society was a triangle. Seriously, it was a triangle with a little sash around the top of it. They paid $75,000 for that. Right? So, and that's what happens when you're dealing with some of these big ad agencies. And when I looked at the call to action, the tagline, wait for this, if I had a drum roll, sound effects would be good. The advertising agency had charged $75,000 for the tagline and the logo, and the tagline was, keeping in mind it's called the Greater, the tagline was, "Sooner or later, it's the Greater." So anyway, I said to them, "Look, I think you may have spent too much money on that tagline. I don't think it's distinguishing you. And also, too, when you say sooner or later, it means like, you're going to be the last choice. You're going to come to the Greater." Yeah. Anyway, so I got involved and I said to them, "Guys, you're a challenger brand. And I'm sure there's a lot of contractors listening to this that are challenger brands. In other words, you're not the Coca-Cola of your industry, right?" And they said, "Okay, what do you mean?" I said, "Well, look, the Wells Fargo and the Bank of America are always going to be much bigger than you. You're a challenger brand." Now, they were the 250th biggest business in Australia, so they weren't your little corner shop, but they weren't as big as the big guys, right? And they said, "Well, what do we do?" I said, "You're taking the big guys on price. You're coming on TV and social media saying get a home loan for 4.7%. The big banks like the Bank of America will be 4.6% in a heartbeat. Why do you want to take the big, a bit like the little corner store taking on Costco on price?
Yeah.
You're nuts." But if you take them on in terms of a, value add Happy Meal toy, then because they're big, they will take a year and 16 committee meetings to work out even what to do. So why don't you get in there and do something different? And they said, "What's that?" I said, "You're giving away a 1% honeymoon rate at the moment, which is what every bank gives away for the first 12 months. How about you pick that up and I'll give it to a travel company that I'm doing some infomercials on TV for at the moment, and it's a discount travel company." And they said, "Yeah, go on." And I said, "They'll give you a $5,000 vacation for 2.5." So that's what we did. We stopped the honeymoon rate, which meant that, they were not doing what every other bank did. We gave that same amount of money to the travel company, and we came on television. This is before Seinfeld. And we said, get a home loan and get a free vacation. The thing went nuts. They had a call center of 15 ladies that had to go to 45 ladies within 3 weeks. We're talking stampede numbers, right? People, and the ads on TV were very cheeky. It would have a sepia, almost black and white tone, and show a family that got their home loan from the bank, and they're mowing the lawn and they're sitting in the lounge at home, and basically life's not looking too good. And then on the right-hand side of the TV screen, the family that got their home loan from the Greater, they're in Hawaii on the beach sipping a pina colada. So again, we didn't show pictures of money because that's what they're selling. We showed the benefits of coming across to the Greater. And then 3 years in, the head of the building society said to me, JD, we've picked up all the low-lying fruit because at the end of the day, there's only so many people you can get to swap their home loan. Where do we go to next? We want to get people with collar and ties. We just don't, because building societies and credit unions tend to be contractor based. They have a lot of contractors. If you go to the Bank of America, you're probably wearing a tie, right? So I said, okay, why don't we use a celebrity? And a friend of mine had just come off a campaign where he had Billy Connolly, the Scottish comedian. And I said, how did you do that? He said, wherever he was in the world, we just flew in with a camera crew. We filmed him for one day, gave him $1 million, and went back and put all the ads together. Okay, that sounds good. So therefore, we put a survey out and asked who would be a good spokesperson for the Building Society. And I'm hoping it would be an Australian personality because they'd be easier to get. Robin Williams, Jim Carrey, Jerry Seinfeld, it all came up, and I thought, I've dug myself a grave. What the hell am I doing? Like, this is ridiculous. Don't do any more surveys, So as it turned out, I flew over to New York and we stitched up Robin Williams. And he said yes, and that we would do it. This was just before Robin Williams passed away. And so, I got back, and you wouldn't believe it, when I got off the plane in Sydney, I had a message from Robin Williams people saying, unfortunately, he just picked up a movie script and he couldn't do it. I went, oh, my God, here we go. So then we went for Seinfeld. And so he was very hard to get to. I think you could get to the Pope quicker than him. And we eventually talked him into it. And the reason we talked him into it is I made a good impression upon George Shapiro, who's his manager, who only just passed away not long ago, but George was his manager for 40 years. And George said, look, what do you want him to do? I said, I just want him to stand outside a greater building society and, basically bag out the banks and say, swap across to the greater and you get a free vacation. So that's what we did. Jerry said yes to it because he liked the idea. He thought it was cheeky. And so therefore, for 3 years, I went backwards and forwards to New York. And we had Jerry in a little country town called Cedarhurst, not far away from the Hamptons. We just built a building society facade, and he stood outside and told jokes.
I love it. And not only have you done stuff with Jerry, but you also had a TV show. I'd love for you to talk a little bit about that. I know you did a lot of things to give back to people that had disabilities or different things over the years, and I think that's also a very important thing to highlight about your career. I'd love for you to expound on that some, especially, I was a born and bred North Carolina Tar Heel. You did a few things with a select name named Michael Jordan, who is a big name for us fellow Tar Heels in this great state of North Carolina. But I'd love to hear, some of the stories around your show and those things that you did. Trade crew, let's be real for a second. Most callbacks aren't because the system doesn't heat or cool. They're because something small got overlooked. And condensate issues, that's one of the biggest ones. That's why I like the Assurity system from Diversitech. It's a full approach. Pans, switches, pumps, all designed to work together and create redundancy so you're not relying on just one line of defense. Because when water gets loose in a house, that gets expensive. Fast. Now here's the kicker. When you install it the right way, you can back it with the Assurity Promise. That's up to $2,500 in water damage protection. That's a big deal for your customers and for you and your business. Just go online to assurityhvacr.com. It's easy to register, tied to your install, and now you've got another way to stand behind your work. That's how you separate yourself. Ask your local distributor about Assurity from Diversitech today. What's up, trade crew? You've heard the buzz, you've seen the press gang at every single AHR. Contractors across the country are ditching their torches for RLS press fittings, and they're not looking back. Why? Because RLS lets you finish faster, safer, and cleaner. From rooftops to mechanical rooms, crawl spaces, and attics, it's a press and go solution that's leak tested, UL recognized, and proudly made in America. Make the switch to RLS and take the heat out of your installs, literally. RLS, rapid locking system, press forward and press on.
Yeah, look, I'll make it quick. This was probably 20 years ago, and I had an advertising agency at the time. We're called the Institute of Wow.com now, but at that time it was called the Dynamic Ideas Company. So it's all about ideas, of course. And I had about 20 staff. It was a reasonable sized business. And we were doing a lot of the bubblegum card products. So therefore you would have grown up on baseball cards. Here in Australia, boys grew up on the football cards. And I was taking out the licenses for all the Disney movies to do the bubblegum trading cards for Aladdin and Beauty and the Beast and so forth. And as it turned out, the guy that worked for me when I was visiting Disney in Los Angeles one time, he made a fatal mistake, a very bad printing mistake on Aladdin. I think it was the Aladdin bubblegum cards. And we lost 2.2 million in 1 week. The cards were printed with all the wrong numbers. They got distributed to all the drugstores. And before we knew it, it was news on the radio stations and TV stations because, basically they accused us of selling things to children. They'd buy a packet of these cards, and instead of having a random number of different trading cards in the packet, he made a printing mistake, which meant when the kids bought the dollar packet of cards, they got card number 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 over and over and over again.
Geez.
Yes, and as you know, if you collected baseball cards, when you get the packet, you expect there to be a random selection of cards in there. So we had to bring all the cards back and basically dump them. We gave them to charity, but basically we needed to dump them. And I lost my house and everything else. I've got 6 children, but I think we had 2 or 3 at the time. So it was pretty tough. And we moved into a little unit and so forth. And I remember just having a prayer to God upstairs on one occasion and said, look, if I can just get out of this, I'll make sure that I do something that would influence other people not to give up. And I called into a church one morning to actually say a prayer as I dropped the kids off to school. They were only 5 and 6 at the time, and the church was locked. And so therefore I figured the guy upstairs was giving me a message. I said, okay, right, I can hear you. You're not even going to open the doors. The priest was walking past and said, can I help you? And I said, look, I just want to go in and steal money out of the poor boxes, actually. And I told him my story, and he said, look, go in there and say a prayer. And the prayer I said was that, could you just let me get back on my feet, and I promise I'll do something that will inspire other people. When things are down, just hang in there. Well, you wouldn't believe it. The fact is that I picked up the license about a month later for the rugby league, which is our football code, to do the trading cards. It was my last roll of the dice. The bank was going to close me down at 5 o'clock on this particular day, and I had been asking the licensing division of the rugby league, have you made the decision? Have you made the decision? Because there was 5 companies that were pitching for it. And as it turned out, the guy upstairs, I think, has sarcasm as well, because at 10 to 5, when the bank was about to close my doors, I got a call from the rugby league football people to say, you've got the license. And I then got the license. We produced the bubblegum cards, and we made all that money back in 1 year, which was great. And I had to keep my promise to the big fella upstairs. So what I did is I pitched the show to the TV networks, and it was called Dreams Can Come True. And what it was that you would write into us, and you would write not for a dream for yourself, but a dream for someone else that was doing it tough. And so, we ran that for a year on television. It beat 60 Minutes of a Sunday night in terms of the ratings. And we had a very well-known personality here in Australia that compared it. And it was great. Michael Jordan, there was a little boy in a wheelchair, and he was about to kill himself because he suffered from spina bifida. And fortunately, he didn't. He wasn't successful. And the local parish priest contacted us and said, look, this little boy's dream is to one day just get an autograph for Michael Jordan. Is there any chance at all that you could pull that off? And I said, leave it with me. So I actually sent a note to Jordan's office and said, this little boy is a major fan. Is there any chance at all that we could bring him over to Chicago and you'd meet him? And you wouldn't believe it. It was in the days of faxes. Michael Jordan told me personally that he said this was a chance in a million. He got 2 million requests a week at the time. This was when he was his last season. And he said, I came to my office, which in Chicago, I only go to that office once every 3 weeks. I was walking past the fax machine when your paper was coming out of it. He said, so this was meant to happen. He said, I picked it up. He said, I teared up when I saw the story of this little boy in the wheelchair. And I said to my secretary, make this happen. So that was one of many stories. We took the little boy over, and Michael Jordan took him to lunch in the Michael Jordan restaurant in Chicago, which was unbelievable. And just before Princess Di passed away, we had a little girl that wanted to meet her. We made that happen. People who didn't have a house, we provided them with the surprise of a house. Or if they had a relative they hadn't seen for 20 years, we'd surprise them with a reunion. Yeah, so it was really good fun. It was magnificent fun, and it was something I had to do to pay back because the guy upstairs has been pretty good to me.
I've been blessed that he's been pretty good to me too. And one of the things that I'm really working towards is when I have guests is really letting them talk about some things that not only, that you did to give back, but what's some pieces of advice that you can give to other people that, can help them move forward? And, after 30 years of helping businesses grow, what are some things that still excite you about helping businesses grow? And what's some advice you can give to a contractor that's currently just feels stuck? Either he's hit a revenue ceiling or he's starting, his business is going backwards. But what's some words of positivity and encouragement, and some things you could say to him or that family that can help them maybe start to turn things around, just looking at it differently?
Yeah, and look, who the dickens am I to be giving other people advice? But by the same token, there's one thing that I have stuck with, and Sir Winston Churchill, when he was Prime Minister of England, well before my time, let alone your time, but a long time ago, he was invited to go back to his school to speak to the children. And it's a famous speech that he gave. One of the kids in the class in Q&A time asked him, Mr. Churchill, what would you give us as a piece of advice? And he just gave what was renowned now as the never give up reply. He just said, never, ever, 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 ever give up, And I have to say to you, I probably put my wife through some tough times, and I feel bad about that because, I just wouldn't give up. I was like a dog with a bone. But the only reason that, we've been able to put food on the table for 6 kids, which is a pretty large family, was because, I stayed up late and got up early. So that's another thing. That this 4-hour work week is not real, right? If you want to do well in life, or in your business, I should say, stay up late and get up early. But also, I just wouldn't give up. I was like a dog with a bone. So that would be one piece of advice. No matter what you're going through at the moment, don't give up. But I think if you're going through a tough time at the moment, what I found in my early 30s, and I'm well into my 60s now, but when in my early 30s, I hung around people who used to say why, and they were accountants, they were operationally minded people, and they tend to always go, oh, why would you do that? Why would you do that? Because they're risk averse. That's just the nature of a left brain person. And I woke up to myself at about 32, 33 years of age and started to hang around with the people who said, oh, why not? So instead of saying why, they'd say, oh, JD, that's a good idea. Why not? Now, it might have been a stupid idea at the time, but at least they'd encouraged me to give it a shot. And I would suggest that if you're going through a tough time at the moment, there's a saying out there, you are the average of the 5 people you hang around with. I know we've all heard that a million times, but you really are. So, try and hang around with some people from a business point of view. I mean, I'm not talking personal. You'd hang around people, from a personal point of view that you like and enjoy their company. But if you're looking to grow your business, hang around people who have got ideas, people who are proactive, and people who don't give up. And so therefore my piece of advice would be, hang around with can-dos, not can't-dos.
Well, John, thank you. Thank you so much. This has been a fantastic discussion. Again, I appreciate you getting up bright-eyed and bushy-tailed to do this with me. And if there's any last words that you'd like to say, to the people listening, and also could you tell them if they'd like to know more about working with you or connecting with you, where can they go to do that?
I wish I could say that I don't need any more work because I live on a private island and I have staff waiting on me, head and foot, but that's not the case. When you've had 6 children, and as I said, they're all millennials, they've grown up and left now, but there's no such thing as that superannuation fund. They took it. So, yes, I'm quite happy to talk to anyone. If you wanted to email me, it's john@theinstituteofwow.com. So, JOHN, john@theinstituteofwow.com. If you wanted to have a look at the vacation program, then just go to vacationsincentive.com. So, it's vacations plural. So, go to vacationsincentive.com. When you go there, you'll see that website's bigger than Ben-Hur. It's I've built the website to answer every possible question that anyone would have. And we run the vacation promotion right throughout America. And I mean, you don't have to be a massive business these days to do anything international. So we run Facebook ads all the time in America. You'll see that when you go to that page, we normally sell the vacation packages for a minimum of 50 vouchers at $97. Okay, so you're getting a $1,000 vacation for $97. But if you are a listener to this program, just let me know and we'll cut that in half. So we'll give you that for half price. So therefore you won't pay $97 per vacation. So you're getting it for less than $50, and you can use that to make sure that you get people across the line. And if you're interested in that contest formula, you can swipe the idea and do it yourself with my blessing. Go and have a look at it. It's called leadscontest.com. Leads plural, leadscontest.com. If you go there, you'll see how that works. And if you wanted to grab it and do it yourself, please, Phil. with my blessing. There are quite a few little speed humps there that you probably wouldn't know on the surface, so I wouldn't advise you to do that. He says trying to get people to use his product, but nonetheless, if you wanted to swipe it, you can go and do it yourself.
I just recently relaunched what I used to call the Vendor Hub, but I now call the Resource Hub on the website for the show. So I'll get some information from your people, and we'll load your stuff into our website as well. So if people want to go to the Resource Hub at hvacrnd.com, and I'll also list out some of this information so that you can either get in touch with John, or if you want to dig a little deeper into some of these programs or work with the Institute of WOW, you can do it right from there as well. So, well, JD, thank you again so much for your time. Everybody, thank you for listening. I hope you have a wonderful weekend, and I will talk to you soon, Trade Crew. Peace. And that's another one in the books, Trade Crew. If this episode brought you value, make sure you like, follow, and subscribe on whatever platform you're listening on. Share this episode with your friends, your coworkers, your install team, your sales reps, and anyone else in the trades that need to hear it. And if you've got a voice, a story, or a lesson that the trades need to hear, this show is built for you. Head over to hvacrnd.com, use the show questionnaire link, or hit the links in any of our social bios, and make sure to get me your information so I can get you booked in for an episode of the show. Because if you're from the trades and you've got something worth saying, HVAC R&D is your platform. Until next time, keep evolving, keep serving, and keep the conversation going. Collaboration over competition always wins. So ramble on, Trade Crew.